ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. It used to be more common. The peak, ever since they started keeping records of these things, which they only started doing recently, like in the 20th century, but ever since they started keeping records, in 1957 was the peak for teenage pregnancy. 1957. Not 2009,
well, back
not
then,
today.
All of them were supposed to have kids. Like, that's when you had kids.
That's my point, okay? So to all of a sudden act like this phenomenon of girls getting pregnant at a young age that we consider young, 16 or 17, to act like it's a new thing is ridiculous. It's always been that way. Even biologically, and this is me just stating, right now I'm going to start by just stating facts. So fact number one, it's not a new phenomenon. Fact number two, in fact, it's a phenomenon that was more common earlier in history, and for the first 6,000 to 10,000 years of human existence, it was a normal thing. Fact three, girls between the ages of like 17 and 24 is when they're technically most fertile.
Yeah. That was Matt Walsh advocating for the impregnation of girls as young as 16 because it's, quote, technically when they're at their most fertile, and a newly unearthed rant about how teenage pregnancy isn't the problem, it's unwed pregnancy that's the problem in society. Both things can be true. According to Media Matters, as the co-host of the Matt and Crank program, Matt Walsh defended political violence and teen pregnancy, shocked an intern with a stun gun, performed racist impressions of black men, and said that we, quote, probably lost our republic after Reconstruction. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, Matt Walsh is currently 36. Oh, for real? So, he said some of these things 10 to 12 years ago in his mid-20s on his YouTube channel, which is still up, by the way. Now, sure, we could go with the young and dumb thing for what Matt Walsh had to say. But if that's the case, and you're dumb in your youth, and you make bad decisions at the ages of 24 to 26, then how much more would those be when you're 16 to 18? It's weird how the issue of unwed pregnancies has been placed on black people by conservatives since the 60s as being due to our culture. With that said, currently, the fastest growing demographic to have a baby out of wedlock is white women, and at its current trajectory, that rate will be right around the same as black women's in like 2 generations. But we know that you're more likely to have an unwed pregnancy when you're poor and lack education. Those two things are not only impacted by cowardly men, sure, but when you have a baby while attending school, it kind of interferes with learning. Now, considering everything that was reported by Media Matters, it's a lot. Along with Matt Walsh's other recorded history of saying racist, sexist, ableist nonsense, he bet not claim victimhood. I don't think he will, but the takes of everyone on the Matt and Crank program is gross. This makes his question, what is a woman, even more weird and creepy. And to that, the answer is an adult female. I'm not sure of who's answering differently and saying otherwise, but I bet there's some avoiding this in his documentary that I didn't watch. However, all of this is a moot point about teen girls because Matt Walsh today recklessly throws around the term groomer. I guess I should say that people are allowed to change their minds over time. But did Matt Walsh do that though? Also, as I alluded to earlier, here's another excerpt of his. When the Mexican people come here, which is fine that they want to come as long as they come legally, which most of them aren't, but they bring with them, being that they're a different culture, a different race, and everything else, they bring with them an identity. And they also bring it to America. And so as the Anglo-Saxons, which were the original Americans, die off, our identity, our culture goes with it. Now, China and Japan and Korea and Vietnam and Egypt, all of those countries for thousands of years have got to keep their identity and their culture. They've been allowed to preserve it, whereas ours is dying off in less than 200 years. How he can forget to name the natives who lived on this land before Anglo-Saxons got rid of them, just so they can have a problem with others coming, legally or not, is beyond me. I forgot to add, the Matt and Crank program, along with Andrew Crank Murr at WZBH The Beach 93.5 FM, was based in Georgetown, Delaware. The show featured all of the worst of Walsh's bluster and bigotry without the production value given to his current work as a host for The Daily Wire, where he was hired in August of 2017. I'll leave you with this. The problem in society is that creepy blank like Matt Walsh have huge platforms from which to sell their bat worldview to millions. Back in the 40s, Matt Walsh's preferred era, guys like that had to get a sandwich board and scream at pedestrians on the sidewalk. Today, he has a podcast. For Rebel HQ, I'm Jeff Wiggins. My architect knows Japanese. For more from the Young Turks, stay right here. To see additional content from yours truly, click on the Jeff Wiggins hashtag. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, We Gonna Be Alright. Thanks for watching.